Hi everyone, Sid here back again. I made it before the end of the year, I'm really happy. Today's lather will be Old Faithful and the aftershave will be Pro Razzo Blue. For this, my last video of the year, I want to do something that I've wanted to do for a while now. But before I get into it, I want to lay some groundwork. Basically, when it comes to the ideas of liberty and engaging with people in the written format, I really don't want to do that. I've spent way too much time being a keyboard warrior for other causes, including socialism. I was a socialist for most of my life before coming to the ideas of liberty. But the thing is, and by the way, this is part of why I do these videos. And I also did a podcast called Gaming and Liberty. The site is still up. It kind of sucks to talk about that site in the past tense, but you know, it is what it is. I'll link to that in the under this video, just for those of you who are interested and you didn't already know. So the fact that if I engage with you in the written form, that in itself is a high compliment, and I know that that sounds smug, but there are a lot of things that end up in my news feed on various social networks that I would like to discuss with the person, but I just, for whatever reason, don't even feel it's worth engaging with that person. So my goal when I get into these discussions in the written format is to basically be kind of like Cain in Final Fantasy IV. It's a role-playing game for the Super NES, and Cain has this jump power where basically when you use it, he just jumps off and spends a bunch of time off screen, and then later on in the battle or whatever, he'll just go like that and just deal the damage. And if you choose jump as your as his next action, he'll just spend most of the battle off screen, basically. And that's kind of my goal when in the hopefully rare cases where I do decide to engage with someone in a debate or a discussion on the ideas of liberty in the written form. Oh yeah, and just to elaborate on that point, me when I unfortunate side effect of doing it that way, because I really want my posts to be short. I think personally when I'm engaged enough to post several times in the same comments thread, and I start seeing that little see more link under my posts, I think that it's a high time for me to leave or to wrap it up. And the unfortunate side effect of that approach is that I sometimes come off as a dick because I really want to say something nice, short and concise that addresses the point. The usual things I end up posting is I try to ask a question, or I'll point out a discrepancy in the person's argumentations. I'll be right back. So, this brings me to a friend of mine called Stephane, who's been one of the people I've engaged with in a half-assed manner. And by the way, just to be clear, whenever I talk about our conversations being half-assed and superficial, I'm really talking about my end of the conversation, because as I said while lathering up, my goal is really get in there, point a discrepancy, get out, or get in there, ask a question, get out. The written form really isn't it's one of my, if not my least favorite way to engage in these discussions, which is why I spend so much effort avoiding them. And if for whatever reason I don't think it's worth engaging with the person, or if I think it's worth it but I can't formulate a post that's like 1 or 2 sentences long, I just don't do it. And I'm really no, let me just finish this thread first. So basically, in my discussions with Stephane, and I'll put a link to his website and his YouTube channel under this video too. He has both. He presented an argument which I think is compelling enough to address in a serious manner, even though I don't really see much merit to it. This video, I will attempt to present his argument in as faithful a way as I can. And I predict that I will spend less time addressing that argument than I will presenting it in this video. But the gist of it is, and I really want to make an effort to not make this about my relationship with Stephane and make it about this argument that, again, I think is compelling. The argument in a nutshell is that we need... Okay. In a nutshell, the argument is we cannot get rid of government because if we did, the sociopaths among us would have a field day with the rest of us, basically. So, I'm going to explore a bit the premises that this argument rests upon, and maybe some definitions too. Let's start with, well, in my view right now, the only relevant definition, which is that of a sociopath. And I don't have a thorough, hearty one at hand, but I don't... I'll go with the way Mark Stevens usually talks about sociopaths, which is the main characteristics are they lie constantly. They lie constantly. They have a massive ego, and they have no regard for the rights of others. And before continuing, it's worth pointing out that Stephane has separates humanity into three broad categories of people. There's the sociopaths, which I've just laid down the rough lines for. I don't think it's a complete definition, but I think it's good enough for the purposes of this video. And the other two groups are people on the autism spectrum. So not necessarily the flat-out autistic people, but people with Asperger's. That's a South Park thing. People with Asperger's syndrome, and you know, basically no matter where you are on the autism spectrum, you count in that category. And the third group he calls neurotypicals, which a less empathetic man would call normal people. But since neurotypicals has too many syllables in it, and I'm too lazy to use that word, I'll just talk about sociopaths and the rest. Because anyway, the argument depends on sociopaths having a field day with the rest of us. So, what premises does this argument rest on? Well, I've isolated a couple here. The first one, which I actually agree with him, is that there will always be sociopaths. There'll always be liars. There'll always be people who are trying to screw their neighbors because they don't recognize other people as being human. They see them as just a means to obtain what they want. And like Stephane Molyneux says a couple times, when I'm driving my car, I don't ask my car where it feels like going. I just hit the gas, turn the steering wheel, and end up where I want to go. And this is basically how sociopaths see the rest of us. So, another premise, which I strongly disagree with, but I won't get into that right now. But this has to be a premise, because or else I don't see much relevance to the argument in itself, is that sociopaths will always have the upper hand. And that Anyway, like I said, this video is mainly about presenting the argument as faithfully as I can. So, sociopaths will always have the upper hand is a premise of this argument. And the other one, and this is something that I've heard Stephane say verbatim almost, but sadly, by the time he broke that out, I had already reached a point where some of my posts had that see more link on them, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here because this is too much energy for me. But the way he says it is that people have hooks in their brains that lead them to self-harm. Now, sadly, I couldn't ask him for clarification on this. Well, I could have, but I would have. I had already engaged my exit strategy, so to speak. So the time that I heard him say that is, I kind of let it stand. But I think that even if that premise is true, of which honestly, first of all, I never asked him for clarification. Second of all, I still did think about it a bit. But the closest example that comes to mind is people that get buried in credit card debt. I think that might be an example of what he means when he says that people have all sorts of hooks in their minds that can lead to self-harm. But even if that's true, I don't think that the conclusion, therefore government, has much weight. But again, I wanted to spend this video, first of all, explaining why, if I actually do discuss the ideas of liberty with you, that I might come off as a dick in the process, because I really want to be the cane jumping and just getting out of there real quick. The written word is not my favorite form to engage in these debates. I've done it so much. I've been a keyboard warrior for long enough that it's time for me to, well, not necessarily time for me to hang up the keyboard and do other things, but now there are other options like vlogging or podcasting or these things. I'd rather speak my mind than type it into a keyboard and do spell checking and all that kind of shit. And the other thing is, wait. Yeah, now you have an idea as why I've come off as a dick if I ever discuss the ideas of liberty with you. And also, shit, I forgot what the other thing is. I'll give myself a couple seconds to think about it before letting you go. Shit, anyway, it's not coming back. It'll eventually come back, so thank you very much for watching. Stephane, if I'm strawmanning you in any way, please let me know. I really don't want to defeat a straw man. I want to address the argument as it is, because as I said in the beginning of this video, it's compelling enough to convince people that government is this necessary evil and shit like that. You can please like and share. You can comment under this video, and you can follow me on Twitter. I'm @SidrockMTL. Subscribe to this channel on YouTube, please. That would really help me out. You can also find me on Tumblr. The links to all of this is right under this video. Happy New Year, everyone. This video will almost certainly be up before midnight, even though I might end up sharing it on social networks a bit later, depending on the timing of the uploading and that shit. So thanks again for watching. Happy New Year, and I'll see you soon at the beginning of next year.